Woo! What up, no, everybody? This is Kyle. This is another episode of Knockouts and Three Counts. And I mean, I survived. It looks like Dave LaGreca survived. And that's right. We support our guests over here. That does say I'm a Dave LaGreca guy. Don't worry, Dave. I'm not going to rip your shirt up. And I promise I won't wipe my ass with it like Thunder Rosa did. I promise you, brother, man, your shirt is in good hands. But without any further ado, we'll talk a lot more about what happened at Mission Pro Wrestling and all that stuff come on Thursday, because there's a lot of cool things coming to you from Knockouts and Three Counts. But another thing coming to you in the month of May is our guest tonight, Bobby Nashty. Nash is getting ready to step back in that cage May 28th for XFC. How you doing, brother, man?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here today. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming back, man. Well, before we get started and all that, throw out all your social media, because I know you had the whole Instagram debacle. So let everybody know where they can find you now so they can stay up to date with everything that's going on in the world of Bobby Nashty Nash.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at BNashty, B_NASHTY. My new Instagram handle, because the other one got hacked, is at BNashty170. There's no underscore, just BNashty170. And follow me on Facebook, just Bobby Nash.
So, like I said, man, it's cool to have you back. Like I said, you and I have known each other quite a long time. And just as I was saying, when we found out that fellow past guest of the show, Brett Martin, has now signed with XFC as well. Right. You know, it's good to see you guys finally getting a chance to have a little bit of a spotlight. And with that being said, first of all, I want to get your thoughts now that you've had a fight inside XFC. What are your thoughts on fighting for XFC, and what are your biggest takeaways from your first event?
So with the first event, I was actually really surprised. Like I was like, oh, wow, you know, the production's really nice. They're really taking care of their fighters. You know, they were giving us Ruth Chris Steakhouse every night to eat on their dime. You know, they came out with some really good issued gear, sweaters, hats. You know, and they put on a really good event, and I was extremely impressed. So, and they have a vision of being a top tier promotion. They already are, but they have a vision to go above and beyond. And it's really cool to see the development of XFC and just being a part of it. And I'm excited to see where my career goes and where the future of XFC goes.
So that leads into a perfect question that I had for you. Something that I thought was really cool that I saw when I watched their first event was that they, instead of giving you cash bonuses for knockout bonuses or submission bonuses, they're giving you guys shares in the company, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Now, I've never heard of nothing like that. I think that that's really cool. I mean, with all these things we're seeing with stuff like that, and like we've heard now that Bare Knuckle FC is giving, you know, their fighters pensions and stuff for after they get done fighting. And looks like we lost Corey. But like I said, man, it's just interesting because you never heard about that stuff in fighting. So tell me a little bit about that, because I think that that's pretty cool.
Well, I think it's really cool too, because, you know, there's a new era of investing right now, especially when you have, you know, these young people who can get on Robinhood or on these apps, and XFC is actually the first publicly traded MMA organization ever. And like you were saying, a lot of promotions, if you get the knockouts, if you get the submissions, they give you bonus. But what XFC does is they give you shares in the company, which I think is cool, because then you're more invested in the company. For instance, I got 20,000 shares for the knockout I had. And, you know, right now XFC is only at about 15 cents. But if XFC, which they have the potential to, gets to $1, that's $20,000 I can cash in. So, you know, now I have actual interest in the company. I want the company to grow. So I think it's really cool what they're doing, and it's a lot of fun.
Like you said, it really incentivizes people, like you said, to actually watch for the growth of the promotion and hope for the best in their regard as well.
Exactly. Now that I have 20,000 shares, of course I want it to grow. Of course I'm going to say nothing but wonderful things, because because the promotion grows, I get more money from the shares.
Yeah.
So,
So let's talk about that though. So your first fight couldn't have gone any better for you, man. You knocked dude out. I mean, about as quick as can be. How quick was it again, Bobby?
it was about 3 minutes in the first round.
That's what I thought. I knew it was first round. I didn't remember the exact time, but dude, you set it up beautifully. Tell me a little bit about that. Was there any nerves as you went into that fight just because, you know, you had what happened with UFC and all that stuff, and you're getting this stage now, you know, and you're getting brought in as one of the big names for that tournament? Was there any nerves going into it? And was the setup there at XFC any different, or was it just another day in the office?
Well, you know, there's always a little bit of nervousness, but when I was in the cage, I really I was surprised with how calm and relaxed I felt. I think that was a pivotal moment in my career to where I was like, wow, I'm really a veteran. I've been doing this for quite some time. I've been in the cage. So yeah, I was nervous, but it was a good nervous and I felt comfortable. So yeah, it was just interesting. And you know, Spencer Jebb was really tough, guys. He his last 3 fights were for M1 Global out in Russia. And I think I just had a great game plan going in against them, and thankfully I got the knockout. But I was really proud of that win because Spencer Jebb is definitely no slouch. He is an extremely talented fighter who's fought all over the world.
So as we go into this second fight, we know you're going to face Ryan Dickson. Now, Ryan Dickson had a hell of a performance in his first fight, you know, quickly finishing the guy. He had great top control, and the fight didn't last very long. Right. So that brings up a few questions. We all know that you have your wrestling background, wrestling for Michigan State and all that kind of stuff. Right. My question is, what are your thoughts on this matchup, especially with him being more of a jiu-jitsu guy? I mean, your wrestling can obviously carry you, and you're no slouch in the jiu-jitsu game. But right. Are you looking to stand with him, or are you cool however this fight goes?
Well, you know, Ryan Dickson is definitely a puzzle. You know, he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. And if you've seen his last fight against Mike Hill, he looked great. He went out there and performed. And if you look at some of his older fights, I mean, he is very tough on top. And I don't really necessarily want him on top. That being said, in order for him to play his jiu-jitsu game, he is going to have to take me down. And that is not an easy task. You're talking to a Division I, Big Ten collegiate wrestler. Is it possible to take me down? Sure, it's possible. But let's be real here right now. He's going to have one hell of a time taking me down, you know. And hey, I'm expecting him to try to go after me and get me to the ground. And you know, I don't want to play necessarily a jiu-jitsu game, but I think he's going to be surprised because it's not like I'm, you know, completely clueless on the ground. I know what's going on, but you know, I do respect his jiu-jitsu and I respect him as a fighter. He's a very tough, talented guy. And, you know, I know I got to come in correct because I know he's hungry. I know he wants it. He's out in Canada right now training his ass off, although they have all those restrictions. So kudos to him for making the trip out here, especially when everything's closed. But yeah, man, he's going to be game. And I'm just so excited for this fight.
Well, Corey, I've been flapping my gums for a minute. What you got?
Well, I guess if we're going to jump to me at this exact moment, I am very excited for what XFC did in that first event, man. Even what they've done with the Young Guns events and stuff since. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate timing with the nature of them restarting and then the pandemic hitting and stuff in the way it did. But,
right.
I mean, just the ability, like you even said, the merch. I wasn't able to dig up the shirt that I had. It was in the dirty clothes hand.
Shout out to the big boss.
The gear as well.
Shout out to the big boss.
Like you said, even like the gear that they put out and stuff, you could tell they're really wanting to put their best foot forward with the revamp of the promotion. And I feel like you can see that from all aspects of how they're going about it. Just the fact that even like some of their prelim matchups and stuff are better than the stuff you would see at like Bellator and stuff like that. Like they're genuinely trying to put the best matchups they can with the best people that they have available. And it's just I'm really, really happy for what the future of XFC brings. I really honestly am.
And you're totally right about that, man. They have the Young Guns. They have Austin Bashi, who's an absolute stud. They're
past guest of the show.
They're bringing in guys like Kurt Hollabaugh, who is a 155-pounder, stud. They got Andrew Sokomtai, stud. They got a bunch of killers, man. They got a lot of people that people don't really know about, but I'm telling you, man, they got some high-level guys. And May 28th, you're going to have a great product. Not in only me, but I believe we're going to have a great product all across the board, man. I'm really impressed with the level of talent they're bringing in, and it's really cool to see, and it's really cool to be a part of it.
So what are your thoughts on, we're seeing it a lot more. I mean, I feel like Bellator was the original one with the whole tournament format, really. And now you're seeing it in PFL, and XFC is doing that as well. What are your thoughts on fighting in a tournament? And do you feel like it brings more excitement because it makes the matches at random, and you never know how it is? And for you as a fighter, do you like knowing, like, I know I'm going to fight, here, and here, with it being a tournament?
To be completely honest with you guys, I absolutely love it. I've always wanted to fight in a tournament style, and I think it's totally cool what XFC is doing. Like you said, Bellator is doing it. PFL's doing it. Who doesn't like brackets? The March Madness, NCAA brackets. When I wrestled, I was wrestling in brackets, so now I'm in another bracket. It's familiar to me. It's cool. And I get to watch my opponent, and be like, yep, 2-3 months, that's going to be the guy. And I get to study all 8 guys. I really enjoy it.
That's the thing, dude.
It's
Go ahead.
An interesting format, that's for damn sure. Just like you said, in the simple fact of being able to study up on your opponents months and months ahead of time, not necessarily even knowing if that's going to be the guy you end up facing, because he might get beat in his matchup, and your whole plan, it's the tournament things are awesome, and especially you've seen them kind of in since COVID's came back, and even slightly before that with Bellator and stuff, PFL as well, like you guys have noted. It's just the tournaments really are a great way to bring fans in. I
love it. I think it's great. Then you could pick your bracket and everything. You'd be like, my bracket was right. Nash won.
Well, do you think you're any more comfortable in the tournament format because of wrestling at state and stuff like that?
That's interesting. I sometimes wonder that because like every time I wrestled in a tournament, it was a bracket style. Okay, now I'm in the quarterfinals. Now I'm in the semifinals. Okay, I'm gonna have this. I'm probably gonna have this guy in the final. So maybe because since I was 5-year-old, I've been wrestling, and it's all been bracket style. So now that I'm in a bracket style tournament, it's familiar. So it's cool, And I know my opponent for a while.
And the cool thing with that, so I got to do, I got asked to do commentary for Henry Ford for the Whizzer Open Wrestling Tournament, and so I did my first crack at commentary. I called probably 50 matches in 4 hours.
That's cool.
And I watched it, and I got to wrestle briefly in elementary school, but watching people get ready for that, it reminded me so much of what I'm more used to in jiu-jitsu tournaments. But I feel like somebody like you, who, like you said, you've wrestled since you were 5 years old. I mean, that's just got to be a better thing, especially okay, look what we just had happen with another local guy. Shout out to past guest of the show, Josh Burns, who just fought for Bare Knuckle FC, right?
Yeah.
The problem when you're not fighting, at least in a tournament format, you kind of already know, okay, who I'm facing, but you also probably know who the alternates are or whatever.
Exactly.
So you'll have an idea of who you're going to get. Where in a single fight situation like that, his opponent got changed 2-3 days before the fight. And you have no, it's just what warm body can they get in the cage for you. So go ahead.
I really believe it's more intriguing for the fans too, man. I have people hit me up. Oh man, you got Dickson. He looked great in his last fight. Who do you think you're going to have? I just really think it makes the fans more interested. And that's my take on it,
So I'd love to hear your thoughts on another thing that we've been trying to get the takes on some of the fighters with. So I know you watch UFC just like we do. Right. So I kind of wonder, what's your thoughts on all this stuff with the fallout after the whole Jake Paul fight and all that stuff? Do you think that fights like that are bad for the sport, good for the sport? What do you think? And do you think now that he's been fighting primarily MMA fighters, do you think that would do you think that may have any change on like the pay scale in the MMA game since you're seeing such a drastic difference?
Yeah, that's interesting because my take on it, and I'm a Ben Askren fan. Unfortunately, God damn it, he got knocked out. But
I know.
I watched, when I was like in high school, I watched him win NCAAs and wrestling and all that. I used to wear the Chin in China shirt. I had a funky Ben Askren shirt when I was in high school. I was a fan of him in wrestling. But the only good take you could take from Ben Askren losing that fight is now another MMA fighter will get a good payday. And I just want to see MMA fighters get good paydays. Right now they're not getting the pay scale between boxing and MMA is a huge.
It's gross.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the UFC is a multi-billion-dollar organization. And they have guys who are on this trying to feed their families, and they can barely do it. It's I would like to see a change in it. And like I said, the only thing that's good coming from Ben Askren getting knocked out is now another MMA fighter can go jump ship, hopefully beat the shit out of Logan or Jake Paul, and make a good amount of money. That's the only good thing. Now another MMA fighter will get a good payday.
So if you could pick somebody out of the names.
Hopefully somebody with some hands this time and not
it's gotta be, right? Come on, man. Right?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So out of the names they've mentioned, like Tyron Woodley, we've heard Tyron Woodley has been talked about, but I've heard about him wanting to fight De La Hoya. You got Woodley, you've got, there's been all this stuff with DC. Like if you could pick somebody out of the ones who are kind of retired right now, who do you think would be the best one to put in there? Because the one thing that fucked me up from that fight is the fact that, like Jake Paul or don't like Jake Paul, there was no saying that punch didn't rock Ben Askren's world. And that was the thing. I was like, damn, this kid's really got some power. It was one thing to knock out Nate Robinson when he comes in with his chin in the air.
Right.
But that was just a straight right, cleaned him out, done. So what are your thoughts on that?
So obviously he fought Logan Paul, right? That's what he fought. Because I get the Jake Paul and Logan Paul.
No, he fought Jake Paul. Yeah, Logan Paul's about to fight Floyd Mayweather next month.
Unreal. Okay.
I know, right?
No, but Logan Paul, he's training with good guys. He's gonna get better. If you're training with these high level guys, you're destined to get better. That being said, he's not what people think. I would like to see him to fight Nate Diaz, and the reason I want him to fight Nate Diaz is because Nate Diaz can box, and Nate Diaz can box well. If I could pick any fight, Jorge would be cool to see him fight too. But dude, I'm telling you,
Jorge and him are cool. I think he was training with Jorge for the Askren fight.
Nate Diaz got some hands, dude. He can legitimately box, and I would really like to see Nate Diaz go in there and just beat his fucking ass. But we'll see.
I would love to see that. I feel like he'd be the perfect person because he doesn't have necessarily the power, but I feel like Nate would just box his ass out. And the thing is, we all know that Nate can take a shot, so I feel like he's not going to go down like Ben did. I mean, obviously, if he goes in there with his chin up, the kid's got some power. But speaking of Nate Diaz, what do you think about the fight with him and Leon Edwards, man?
Well, unfortunately, it got pulled, but I think that's
they just moved it to June.
That's right, they moved it to June. Dude, a lot of people aren't Diaz fans, dude. I can't help it, dude. I'm a huge Nate Diaz fan, dude. I am. I think he's got beautiful striking, boxing. His boxing's really good, and his cardio is always up to par. And he comes game, man. He's a gangster, dude. He comes in there and he comes to fight. And I hope he beats Leon Edwards, but Leon Edwards is, I think this is going to show us really where he's at.
I agree.
That's the best way I could explain that matchup too, is it's such a clear example, not only to see where Nate Diaz is in his career still at this point, but to see where Leon Edwards actually stacks up with people that have been long time founded as one of the elite level fighters in 170, and especially now that he's made that permanent jump to 170. I feel like it's a perfect matchup for either Leon to really build his star off of, or Nate Diaz to get that title shot. Either one, right. I'm happy with.
I feel like Nate needs to quit fucking around and go back to 155 because he's not a 170.
Well, I feel like since he's became more dedicated outside like just the Conor fight and shit, I just wish he was more active.
Hey, you want to know what's crazy though? Is Nate Diaz can go in there, beat Leon Edwards. Conor McGregor can go in and beat Dustin Poirier, and it'd be crazy. But God damn it, Nate Diaz could be the welterweight champion of the UFC, which I never thought could happen. There's potential with it. You know,
that's what I'm saying. Since he's made it more of a permanent thing, and it's not just like, oh, I'm jumping to 55, oh, I'm jumping to 70, oh, let's do a catch weight, let's do 65, let's do. Now that he's kind of just set his feet down at 70 and is more kind of, I just wish he was more active, man. I feel like he could have fought his way up there with just the popularity alone. Win 2 matches, or even one as high caliber as a Leon Edwards, man. You're in that title picture. That realistically. He wins this fight, and that title fight's his, in my opinion. I mean,
well, I agree with you, but not to mention, you've also got to take this into effect, right? So you've got, he's got that fight, but in my personal opinion, when you bring up the name Conor McGregor, I told you this before they announced that Dustin Poirier fight that they were going to run back the trilogy for that. I'm like, to be honest with you, if I were Conor, I would have went and fought Nate again. Because after the way Poirier knocked him the hell out, he goes in there and gets knocked out again like that. And whether it's Conor McGregor or not, you can't justify keeping him around the title picture no matter how much money he makes them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way I see it. That's why I honestly thought they were going to run the Diaz trilogy back first. But let's take it off MMA a little bit. It's May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you. Are you a Star Wars fan, Bobby?
I can appreciate it, but not as big of a fan as a lot of people.
Yeah, not your bag. See, I like Star Wars. I was never like the biggest guy, but I mean, hell, have you ever heard about has Brandon Gallo ever told you about the damn collection that this dude's got?
Yeah, I know. He actually, doesn't he draw them or something?
Dude, he's got like everything Star Wars you could like possibly want. Like he was telling me, I've never been in there to see it, but he showed me pictures and he's got like his whole basement is like
no way
Star Wars'd out. And I'm like, damn, dude, like this dude's got like all the stuff. I tell you, I made the mistake of trying to take a girl to go see Star Wars when they first started coming back out again. Let me tell you. Bad idea, because the whole movie. Well, what is this? What? I'm like, damn it! I knew this was gonna happen. I'm thinking, hell yeah, we'll go to the movies. We'll see Star Wars. Blah blah blah. It'll be cool.
He's gonna love me,
dude. It was, oh my god, and she was all gung ho about it, right? She was like, we could go see the new Star Wars. We got in there, and like the whole movie was like a giant question, and I'm like, fuck. This didn't go very well. So I found out real quick, if they don't already know about Star Wars, you might want to proceed with caution. Because I ain't even the biggest Star Wars nerd, and I'm just like, damn, I don't even got all the answers, but shit, just let's watch it.
Yeah, I don't know much about Star Wars myself.
Hey man, so I know that you've really put a lot of time into your hands working with Carol Rowe and all that stuff like that. Do you get into boxing too much, like watching straight boxing?
Dude, I love boxing. I think it's badass, man. I really appreciate it. And that's something like working with Carol Rowe and working so much on my boxing, like I'm tuning in. I'm becoming a fan, Terrence Crawford, I didn't know who that guy was last year, but I'm a fan of his now because I've been watching boxing. So, yeah, man, I've been really working on my hands, and I think you're going to see a good display of it May 28th, that's for sure,
See, I can't wait to see it. Well, now that I know that you watch boxing, what are your thoughts on this whole thing with Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders?
Canelo's going to smoke him, I think.
Well, did you hear all the controversy?
No, I don't think I have. I just know Canelo.
So it just came out within like the last day or so, but Billy Joe Saunders straight up said in a press release, he said if he wants to keep changing the rules, he said, fuck off, we'll fly home.
What do you mean changing the rules?
So apparently they agreed to a 24-foot ring. They got there, it's a 20-foot ring.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah, so he first of all he was pissed because they changed the size of the ring, and he was like, with his style, he goes, that gives me less room to move, and Canelo wants to make it a firefight. He said that's not what we agreed upon. There's also something being said that the type of wraps that Canelo wanted to use were part of the issue too. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that the size of the ring, or in your case, the size of the cage, would make that big of a difference?
Boxing's so interesting, man. They're so nitpicky, dude. With MMA fighters, like, let's go in there and fight, you know? Oh, backyard? Cool, let's do it. Boxing, it's so nitpicky. Oh, the gloves are this. Oh, the hand wraps are this. Oh, look. And I get it. If it's in the contract, he says 24. I get the ring size. That makes sense. 24 foot. Or
and that's the main bone of contention. I don't know as much about the hand wraps, but the main one was, so I was, from what I was listening to on Jimmy Smith earlier, they had the whole audio release. Apparently, Canelo's team was walking through the hotel, and as they walked through the lobby, they walked by Billy Joe's camp, and they were all clapping like, you know, oh, it's royalty. He's got to change the ring, like basically calling him a puss and all this other stuff. And so I mean, the hand wraps thing, that's a little, yeah. But I feel like the ring size I could see.
Right. No, certainly. I think you can too. You know, I think ring size is very important, especially if you're a pop shot, like hit and move, hit and move, hit and move. You know, if you want to be in the pocket and fight, you probably want it a little tighter. So no, I think that's I think that's plausible. You know, I think that's fine that he's arguing about it. But yeah, it's very it's weird that boxing has weird antics. You know, like with what they like and don't like. You know, you don't really get that too much in MMA.
I agree, man. You never really, like, I've never once, I think, I've been around MMA since holy shit, 2006. 2006. And I've never once in my life, whether at an amateur fight, a UFC fight, Bellator, none of them, I've never in my life ever heard somebody complain about the size of a cage.
Yeah,
I've never heard that ever.
You did a good bit over the last year with the whole Fight Island and now UFC Apex thing, though, because they implemented a smaller cage at UFC Apex. So I heard quite a few fighters over the last year, strikers in particular, who were matched up against wrestlers and maybe jiu-jitsu guys and stuff like that. They were not so happy about the smaller cage.
Right.
I definitely heard quite a few complaints actually about it over the last year, to be honest with you. But it was... I'm
saying by and large, though, but at least with that one, that was like UFC switching from its normal cage. You know what I mean? So that I could almost see in a way, because UFC's had essentially the same size cage forever. So like, I can understand where somebody would say something about that. I'm just saying, if you go from like show to show to show, right? So like, if I were to take you to like 3 local shows, Corey, I've never once heard somebody say anything like, oh, that's, you know, fuck that, I don't want to fight in that cage, or, you know, it was
weird
just
how they do that. It's weird how well, a lot of times it's like standard issue gloves and stuff, especially the higher you get in promotions and stuff, so you don't really have too much fighting or infighting, I guess you could say, about gloves.
It's kind of talked about like the pre-fight. Canelo's camp is really upset with what's going on. Like, the commentators are commentating about it, you know? They go back, there's a bunch of locker room talk back and forth. You see that a lot in boxing, you know?
Yeah. You definitely do. Or even like the simple fact of like, yeah, we got one of your guys in our locker room in the back to watch us put the gloves on and our hands wrapped and shit. It's like, still to this day, even with the commission people and stuff in there, they're still like, it's just
maybe there's some crooked stuff going on. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
You don't see
think about it. I mean, granted, I've never heard of it in MMA, but did you guys ever hear the story about the guy? They did a whole, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but they did a whole thing on it on HBO. The guy was a professional fighter. He fought for world title, all that stuff. He plastered, he says he didn't know, but his hands were wrapped in plaster, and he hit the man so many times he killed him. He ended up dying from all the damage he took. And then after the fight, they found out that not only were his hands plastered, if you look inside the glove, some of the padding's taken out. So not only does this dude got like casts on his hand, you're essentially getting hit with the cast because there's not even pad in between it.
Yeah, there's been corruption in boxing, you know. So I guess there maybe hasn't been MMA hasn't been around as long as boxing, but I've even heard that they stuff the stuff. They take all the stuffing up and put steel wool in and stuff, you know, like in the gloves. So there's a lot of corruption. So I mean, I guess it's just more of a social norm. It's not so much of a social norm in MMA, you know.
Well, I think, like you said, though, in most promotions, the gloves are like, it's these one universal gloves. Bellator's got their gloves. UFC's got their gloves. XFC's got their gloves. And that's it. These are the gloves you're fitting in. What size do you wear? That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's the extent of it.
You know, like, I think that eliminates a lot of problems. Where in boxing, you know, you've got Grant gloves. You've got Everlast gloves. You've got Rival gloves. You've got Cleto Reyes gloves. You've got every other kind of glove you can think, and then every guy who's sponsored by a different glove company, you know, oh shit, well, I want to fight in these ones. Well, I want to fight in these ones. So, I mean, there's a lot more when it comes to boxing with that kind of bullshit, man.
Yeah, that's true.
It's interesting though, man. Right. Before we start to wind down and all those things, man, you know, this fight is gonna present you definitely a different look than what you got with the first guy. I feel like the first guy he was ready to stand, at least from what we saw. I mean, it didn't go very long, but I feel like he was a lot more willing to stand. Whereas we saw with Dickson, he immediately took it to the ground and pounded the dude. So what are your predictions for this fight? How do you see it? Do you see yourself trying to stand with him, or are you trying to, are you just ready to go wherever it goes?
I'm curious. I'm trying to figure out what he's going to do, and that's been a lot of my fight. I'm like, what does Dickson plan on doing in this fight? Is he gonna try to strike with me? Is he gonna try to take me down? Because I'm a hard fight for him. Because if he strikes with me, I think I'll knock him out. But you know, I'm also a Division I college wrestler, so it's interesting. But my prediction on the fight is I'm going to knock him out round 1.
I like it. Get in, get out, stop, drop, open up shop. Take care of business, man. I like it out here, man.
This is my goal, guys, and I'm going to say it right now. I want to go 3-0 in this tournament, win the title, but I want to go 3-0, all first-round finishes. That's my goal.
That's what I like to see, man. Between you and Kenny, what he did in his first fight, can't wait to see him come back and do his thing. Austin is murdering fools out here.
He's a stud,
man. It's awesome to see the Michigan guys really doing their thing, and I'm glad to finally see, you know, your fellow management stable mate, Brett Big Dog Martin, finally getting himself a home here. I mean, I think most of us around Michigan know that he's been one of the top heavyweights
definitely, dude,
for a long time. I think it's just been, to be honest, I don't know how it's taken that long. And then he had the tough break when he did get to fight in LFA. So I don't know, man. I feel like the heavyweights in the XFC division are going to have a lot to look out like the welterweights will with Mr. Bobby Nashty Nash. Well, Corey, before we get out of here, you got anything else for Mr. Nash?
Honestly, we kind of touched on all my points, man. We really honestly did. I'm excited for the matchup coming on later in the month, man. I'm just excited for the whole revamp of what XFC has brought. I mean, I know I had kind of alluded to it earlier, man, but I'm genuinely happy to see more competition in the MMA field. And it seems like not necessarily that they came out of left field, because of course they were already running a couple years back and stuff, but with this rebrand, it really seems like they're trying to hit things out of the park, and it seemed like they did that in that first event. So I'm hoping COVID didn't put too much of the brakes on for them, I guess you could say. But now that everything's back up and running, I know when we had Myron on, he was talking about how it was hard to get a lot of these Canadian guys back to the States to hold these events that they already had scheduled and stuff. But I'm just excited. I honestly am. I'm excited for the return. I can tell you are as well. So
definitely, I'm excited, man. It's going to be a lot of fun to see the development of XFC. They're huge in Latin America, guys. I don't know if you guys know this. They had a ton of fights in Latin America, but they're gonna get global, dude. They're going out to Mexico, Cancun, and looking for fighters. They have their Young Guns event, and they also I mean, they're bringing in guys from Canada right now, which is extremely difficult. The fact that they're able to do that, and the fact that they're willing to spend that extra money to make it happen, shows that they want to play some serious ball in the MMA game. So.
Well, that does bring up something to ask you. You know, with you coming in through that tryout system that you just mentioned, I mean, you know, they had their tryout here. There was the tryout in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They got the one in Cancun that's coming up. They did one in Brazil. I mean, what are your thoughts on the tryout system that they're using to acquire fighters? In my personal opinion, I was a big fan as soon as I heard it. Because to me, I feel like this opens up a way for them to find a lot of diamonds in the rough that you might not necessarily see. Because anyone who's trained for any amount of time knows if you walk into any decent gym, there's probably about 2 or 3 killers in there that nobody else has heard of. But if you go in there, everybody in the gym will tell you, hey, this dude's a badass. So what are your thoughts on that tryout system, being that you were in one?
It's awesome, man. There's no other promotion doing that. Ever. There's no other promotion that's like, you know what, we're gonna do a tryout and give these guys an opportunity. Like, what else? What other promotion is doing that? No other promotion. It's really cool. It's really unique, and I love it. You got a guy from Mexico who, you know, may not have the opportunities, but now he can go to this event, show what he's all about, and it gives him an opportunity. You know, Mexico isn't this super wealthy, place where you can train and have all this luck. So them going out there and giving these guys an opportunity, that's awesome, man. And I love it, dude. And like I said, I got picked up from the tryouts. You know, they saw like, hey man, this guy's badass, he's good, and gave me an option, gave me a chance, you know.
Like I said, I like it. In my opinion, it opens up a door for them to be able to see guys and girls that they wouldn't have seen otherwise. Where a lot of people, you know, when you're just basing it off of hype, you know, and things to get yourself in there, you know, like I said, you can go into any gym that's half worth a damn, and there's at least 3-4 killers in there that, you know, Joe Layman's never heard of, but you know what I mean? If you go in there, you'll see real quick, oh shit, who is that guy?
Right, exactly. And there's plenty of them. And XFC wants to pick them up before anyone else does.
Hey, man, I like it. And what we want you to pick up is another dub come May 28th, man. Along with Brett Big Dog Martin, man, we're definitely going to have you guys stay tuned. If you haven't already done so, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the comment button, hit all the buttons. You know, you always like hitting that big red button. We'll hit the red button in the corner and make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss anything from your friends over here at Knockouts and 3 Counts, because I can tell you, Texas might have been bringing you guys some real cool stuff coming soon. So you got to make sure you stay tuned. And like we said, May 28th, catch Mr. Bobby Nashty Nash as he steps back into the cage for XFC. And until next time, and in the in-between time, make sure you check us out Thursday, 9 o'clock. We're going to be talking about all the stuff going on in pro wrestling and MMA. You got the WWE pay-per-view coming this weekend and more. Until next time, peace. Fuck your couch.